All right, welcome everybody to the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement podcast for students. I am your host, Andres Ruiz, motivational speaker and coach. And today we have a very special guest. Very special because I've actually had the privilege of working with him. His name is Tony, and he's a local Tucsonan and is a proud GED graduate of El Rio Centro. That's what I love about Tony, very humble. And I appreciate that, he says he's proud to have that GED, because a lot of kids are always thinking like, oh, a GED, but I appreciate that you put that out there, man. So thank you for putting that on your bio. And he's a first generation college student. And, Tony was not aware of the college process and had big questions about how to start and pay for college. He was fortunate to have a Rio staff help him apply to Pima College and give him the scholarship to start a summer course at Pima College. Tony graduated from the Pima Community College with an associate in general education degree and an associate in network administration. 2004 was the start of his first year of professional experience working with IT department at Pima Community College. In 2012, he continued his higher education at NAU and earned a bachelor's in public administration and master's in educational leadership. In 2014, Tony began working with a TRIO grant-funded program based out of Pima Community College to increase the number of low-income, underrepresented, and first-generation college-bound students who aspire toward and are eligible to enroll in a university degree program. In 2020, Tony moved to Pima Community College as an advanced program coordinator with the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship. 10 months later, Tony became the program manager for the TRIO Upward Grant program at downtown campus. Tony values his staff and the educational partnership that allow Upward Bound to impact college-bound youth. So welcome to the show, Tony. How are you feeling today, man?
I'm good. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited too, man. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it, man. So I want to get into it, man. And, I always like to have the guest brag a little bit about themselves. I think it's really important that we praise ourselves. And I want to get this started with asking you, what would you say is your superpower?
Funny thing you say that, because as I'm looking at the question, I'm like, superpower. Like I like listening to people. So I was like, yeah, maybe I got good listening skills. And then I like advocating for students. And I think that's the one that stayed the most, because like I said, I'm student focused. I remember Pima had a logo that says students come first. So I took that to heart. So every time I work with a student, I'm like, okay, it's your time. I work for you. So you tell me what you need. And if I can't help you, let's find somebody that can. And if they don't help you, come back to me and we can find that person. So I like advocating for students and finding the resources for them. That is priority for me. The student comes first.
Nice. And I can attest to that, because I really did see when we were working together, I really did see the passion and how you were always advocating for students, always trying to help them, which I really appreciate about you. And you were always willing to help. So, thank you for that. And I definitely agree that that is your superpower. So tell us a little bit about Upward Bound and what you do there and how you help the students.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little history. In 1964, the federal grant, the FAFSA, the free application for federal aid, came out. They put it out there. They thought, low-income students can go to college, because before that, there was no money for students. You didn't have money. Your parents weren't wealthy. So basically, you didn't go to college. In 64, they put the application out. In 65, they created our programs because they found students weren't applying. They didn't know how to get into college. They didn't know what the process was. So they created the TRIO programs, and TRIO programs means three because it started off with three: the Upward Bound, the ETS, and then the SSS program. The ETS is a little bit more light touch, where we served 880 students here in Tucson, Pueblo, Sunnyside, and Desert View students. So it was a lot more light touch. Where Upward Bound, we only served 65 students. And the funding is for Upward Bound, it's about $5,000 that we spend on students. So it is a scholarship. It is a privilege to be in the program. Again, everything we do is free. It's federally funded. So students do have to be residents and citizens. That's about the only requirement, along with being low income first gen. So from their freshman year till they graduate, we're with them for the next 4 years. We're taking them to college field trips. We're actually having classes during the Saturday courses, and then summer courses where we increase their math, their reading, their writing, second language courses, science courses. So that way, instead of falling behind, these students are ahead. Right. So they're doing dual enrollment courses, they're getting college credits, they're getting everything sort of tailored to what the student's needs are. So we do assessments, we work with every individual student to make sure we're meeting their goals. And that's sort of what I like about the program is it's not about me, it's about what the student and what they want to do. When you talk about empowering the student, right? Knowledge is power. So the more they know, the more easier the process becomes, right? If I know what the admission requirements are for the U of A, my freshman year, right? I know what to do for the next 4 years to be able to get a full ride to U of A, right? A scholarship. So all of a sudden, I'm going to U of A, I'm going to ASU, I'm going to NEU, I'm going to Berkeley, I'm going to Harvard, right? Because we've been working on this for the last 4 years. And that's sort of what Upward Bound is about. It's students that want to go on to higher education. To me, it doesn't matter where you want to go. You want to start off at Pima, great. If you want to start out at Harvard, then let's do the application. Let's do what we need to do to get you in there. And most of our students are high achievers. They're very high achievers. Like I said, the application that we currently have, it's pretty lengthy. You need 2 teacher recommendations. You need a counselor recommendation. But the students are very, like I said, the students and the parents. So we get the family involved too. So we do have family nights where the parents come in. And what I've seen lately is a lot of the parents are extremely happy that there is a Latino that speaks their language. And they go, he's like, oh, gracias a Dios que estás aquí, porque la señora que estaba antes no me entendía. He said, I couldn't speak to her. I couldn't do stuff with her. So, I mean, having that Hispanic and Latino background where I grew up with the language and first generation migrant also, I guess you can call me, where I'm the first one in my family born in the US. So, and that's sort of what Upward Bound is about. In a quick couple minutes, that's what we do. We help low-income first-gen students and wherever they want to go to college. We don't recruit for Pima. We're not funded by Pima. We're funded by the federal government.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome, man. Thank you for the explanation. And wow, 1964, that's amazing, man. I mean, so it's been around for quite some time, and it's really cool to just get that, that information that a lot of people didn't know about. And now that, people know about it, now they can take advantage of that opportunity. So thank you for sharing all that good stuff. And so for like students who would be interested in having a career like in higher ed or who want to go to college, what would you say it takes to be successful at what you do, or just, getting into college? What would it take to be successful to get in there?
Okay, so going into college, that's just, they call it gain, right? In Espanol decimos ganas. You have to have the ganas to go. You have to do the work. It's easier for me to get a job in a fast food restaurant, just not having to think much. It's harder if I have to stay up late and do 10-page essays and really cram all these different theses and different things into a career, right? It's harder, but you have to have the ganas. I mean, I'm not saying people think failure is bad. I take failure as a learning step, right? I didn't do well in that class. You know what? I'm going to take it next semester. And I used to take classes, even if I was failing them, I would stay in the class. I was horrible at science, learning all the little, what do you call it? The I don't even know what they're called now, but either way, right? I was horrible at science and I needed science courses. That was my sticking point in high school where I was needing a science credit and I did not want to go back they weren't offering in summer and I would have to go back a whole year to graduate high school. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. And that's why I went to El Rio, I did some practice tests, took my GED test and I passed it. And then I started Pima because I did not want to go back for another year. But just understanding that you can go to college if you have the ganas. What I used to do, I used to be a horrible high school student, right? I didn't do well because I didn't understand. And that's where the mentors and that's where the people come in, they help you because they would help the upperclassmen, right? The ones that were doing really good, they were all over them, right? You're going to college, you're going to do something with your life. Everybody else underneath them, they just wanted you to graduate and get the heck out of there. And that's what I felt. If you feel that way, like you're just a number to them, then no, I didn't want to be there. When I went to college, the main difference was, right, I was studying something I wanted to do. It was everything about me, right? It was about what I wanted to study, what I want to do with my life, what I was doing it for. Before it used to be state mandated. The state tells you what to take and what courses you have to graduate.
Wow.
And change, right? When I went to college, what I used to do is I used to spend my whole day at the college, right? I would go to my class, go into the learning center where there's a bunch of tutors and people there to help you. So I went from a D to C student to A, B student, right? My first year in college, right? I was taking remedial reading and writing courses because I guess high school did not prepare me for college. But, I took remedial courses. And yes, I flunked a class or two, but I took it the next semester. And like I said, I used to go to the classes even though I was flunking them. I used to be there every day. And I remember I had a tutor that would like, why don't you get this? Why don't you get this? I'm like, it's not something that comes natural to me. I'm sorry. I was taking electrical math, binary math, and algebraic algebra, and these real courses that, it's not normal to take. But I was there, and I was there every day, and I was there like, le echaba ganas. I'm like, I didn't care. I didn't care too much about the grade. I wasn't worried about the grade. I was worried about me stop caring and just letting everything go. Like, at some point you feel like, oh man, this is too much. I never felt that. And I was working full time and going to school full time, right? I was supporting a family. My son was born when I was 19. So
Wow, that's powerful, man. And thank you for sharing that. That's like such a powerful testimonial of your experience and the challenges that you went through and how you overcame them despite having a family, having a job, going to school. I mean, that takes a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work. And like you said, you have to have ganas. If you didn't have ganas, then you definitely wouldn't have been able to do what you're doing today. And so I appreciate your story. Is definitely, I can imagine how much it can resonate with so many students that are listening and that you've talked to before about that. And you did talk about how there was that person kind of hitting you in the head like, hey, you got nothing, like, do something. Why are you getting this? But through this process, like, did you have any mentors that you can think of that would help you, like, or like, how did you find help, mentorship for what you did, and any mentors that stick out for you that you can think of, maybe like during college or right now, whenever?
okay, I mean, right now, a lot of the program managers that are running the programs, they're very, like I said, I go to them whenever I need help. Like, I'm running a program now, so it's a lot different than just working for somebody. Now you're the person that people come to when you got budget adjustments, or you have to see what fundings are available, or you have to go talk to the administrators of the high schools to make sure that you're getting the space and the regulation that you need. So it's a little different. And going out and having that person is like, okay, how do you do this process? How does this work? Damien has been really good. He's a program manager at East Campus. Danny Pacheco, he's a program manager here at Desert Vista campus, and they're really good mentors. I mean, we're talking about Edgar Soto. He's always available and very helpful whenever I need him. Currently, my new supervisor, he's Philip Morgan. He's very helpful. Like I said, he's anything I need support on. And when you work in higher ed, you'll find that a lot. You'll find people that are willing to help because they want the program to succeed. They want you to be able to help students. And that's, tell you the truth, that's why I still work with Pima, right? The difference between a university and a community college. And I always ask everybody, I'm like, tell me what is the difference? And they look at me like, well, they're colleges, right? I'm like, yes. can I get a bachelor's? I'm like, no, you can't get it from Pima. You got to go to the university, right? The main difference is the education. Pima is an educational institution. Yes, we don't go out and do research. We don't send rovers to Mars. We don't have a lot of those doctorate degrees that U of A has, because they have those large classrooms, right? 200 people, and I've been in those classrooms, and I wasn't successful in there because I wasn't getting the support that I needed. But there's some students that are self-learners, self-paced, but either way, Pima is an educational institution where, I mean, our middle name is community. We're here to build community where you don't want a bachelor's, you just need an associate's, or even if you need a certification, right? You need a certificate. You just need to start something quick and easy. There's a lot of fields. I always talk about the aviation program. Those are nationwide certifications. I had a student that he was a friend that went through it, right? He got his certifications. He was working in Alaska, working with small engine airplanes. He was in Beijing working on planes and maintenance when they went out there. Currently, he's working Bombardier back in Tucson. And this is a certificate program, 2-year certificate program nationwide, making over $100,000, right? He's making more money than I am in education with the certificate. I mean, that's what you can get at Pima. I don't need to go get a university degree, especially in education, where we understand if you're in education, you're not in it for the money, not making the big money unless you're an administrator. If you're in education, you're in it because you like helping people and you love what you do. And that's where I am at. I mean, yes, I can go and take an administrative position where I may not like sitting in front of the computer doing budgeting and stuff, but I'm also out there helping the students. So it's a good balance.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story too, man. And it's so powerful how, that, and I agree that if you have a community, if you have people that are willing to help you out, you're going to want to stay because that's what you are. You are community. And I have seen that example from Pima Community College that they do help out a lot. They're willing to be there for you, and if you have any questions, they're there to help you. And the men that you mentioned, I know a few of them, like Ed Soto and Danny Pacheco. I mean, they're really good people that, they're always willing to help because I know them personally. So, and then that story about that guy, I mean, your friend for 2 years, and now look at what he's doing. And it all happened here. And I'm glad that you're mentioning that story so that the people out there can listen and say, wow, okay, I don't have to go for 8-10 years to have an amazing career that pays very well. So thank you for sharing that. And I want to ask you, why is it so important to stay hungry and humble at the same time when you're pursuing your goals when it comes to going to college or higher ed?
I guess for me, I mean, coming from a Hispanic community, right? My dad was a bricklayer. I think I got a lot of his like the hard work, the labor stuff that he did showed me that he cared. He didn't say it a lot. He didn't say I love you. He passed away last November with COVID. But he was a really hard worker. If they told him to come in at 4 a.m, he would be up at 3 making his lunch and going to work. And that instilled in me where, it takes work. No matter what you do, it's going to take work. And I'm not the kind of guy that can sit still all day and just look at the computer. I got to get up and I got to move around and I got to do stuff. I don't feel comfortable not doing labor, I guess you can say. And that came instilled with family values, right? If you look at your family and they're working hard and they might not make enough to pay, extra things, but they put the food on the table, they pay the bills, and that's sort of what instilled in me to be humble, right? And just seeing the kids, I understand what they're going through. I understand a lot of times education is not their first priority, right? They're having issues at home. They come in hungry. We provide food for them. They don't have transportation, so we're providing transportation, right? Mom and dad are at work and I don't have a ride. I'm like, that's okay. We'll pick you up. Just tell me, give me a time. We'll be there. We'll pick you up. We'll bring you to the program. That way you can have a place to stay. You can eat. You can learn. You can be successful. And I think that's sort of what keeps me humble, is understanding that there is a need for the program. There is a need for our community, right? If you look at Tucson, I mean, I grew up in South Tucson. I grew up one of the poorest neighborhoods, and it's still one of the worst neighborhoods, right? There's a lot of poverty. You'll see a lot of things happening, and where you see poverty, right, you see a lot of police interaction, and a lot of times it's not good, right?
Yeah.
You heard the saying, right? Driving while you're brown or driving while you're black. In reality, it's true. I remember being pulled over and, being questioned, why do I have a nice car? I'm like, well, I work, I have to pay for my bills. It's in having that background and seeing the kids today, and making sure that they're not mistreated, making sure that they're not, that keeps me humble. That keeps me like, okay. And I don't want to say religion, but religious, I'm a religious person, right? And the mom is very religious. And I guess the saying my mom always told me is like, estás para servir. O si no sirves, ¿para qué sirves? So we're here to serve.
Nice.
Serve.
Good stuff.
And that's the way it's always been my thinking. I'm like, you know what? I'm here to help people. That's what I'm here for. Tell me what you need so I can help you.
Wow.
And I'm always chasing down students. I'm like, how have you been, man? I haven't seen you. You're in our program, right? We're giving you all this. What do you need from us?
Wow.
And that's it. I don't know. I tell the students I work for them, we're public servants. Reality is we do. Our paycheck indicates how well the students do. And I take that to heart.
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. That was powerful, man. Thank you for sharing that story, about your father. May he rest in peace. And, I appreciate that, he instilled such wonderful values in you to be such a hardworking man. And then your mom, si no sirves pa que sirve. That's a good one, man. So you have some great parents that really instill some amazing values in you. And, Tony, I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show, man. This was so powerful. I got inspired by this. I hope the audience got inspired. And, we're going to continue having professionals like Tony on the show that will help instill in you some inspiration, some motivation to get you started towards that, degree that you want to get towards higher ed or just starting in college. So stay tuned for the next episode of the Blueprint on How to Turn Goals into Achievement for Students podcast. We'll be seeing you on the next show. Have a great day. Peace.